Galatians, and I just went down a rabbit hole with it. And, I saw this and I just thought it was interesting to share and then, possibly speak about it. So, Galatians 6, 8 through 9 says, those who live only to satisfy their own sinful nature will harvest decay and death from that sinful nature. But those who live to please everlasting life from the Spirit. So let's not get tired of doing what is good. At just the right time, we will reap a harvest of blessing if we don't give up. And today, I'm just grateful for all the blessings that, God has given me. I'm grateful for my wife. I'm grateful for my children. Um, I'm grateful for everything, just overwhelmingly grateful for all the things God has done for me in my life and the lives of each and every one of you. And, you know, just everything. I always have like an overwhelming sense of gratitude, you know. Um, in this particular verse, one second, sorry, but in this particular verse, you know, um, it tells us that, we should be focused on doing good, right? But most importantly, it tells us to not only not focus on our own sinful nature, right? But he tells you that you need to live to please the Spirit. You know, what's so funny about this verse, right? I didn't know. I choose these to read them. Because I always save a bunch of them, but I choose to read them um in the morning, you know. And yesterday, me and my wife was out exercising, and we was having this conversation about, just about success and money and certain things. And my wife was like, "How um he doesn't want us to ever get too successful, like to make too much money." And I was like, "Why?" You know? Um, and she was just like, "But you could end up with a target on your back and this and that and the next thing." And I told her, I was like, "But I mean, think about the amount of people that we could help, you know?" And she was like, "Well, yeah, I know you would help a lot of people." But she was like, like what if, people try to, when you get to that level of success, people can try to harm you, they can place a target on your back, you know? And I told her, I was like, well, at the end of the day, it's about my salvation. You know what I mean? Like I'm putting trust in in the funds or the money or none of that. You know what I mean? I, I'm simply worried about one thing and one thing only. That's helping people. You know, God knows my intentions and God knows my heart. I'm not going to dumb down the blessings that He has for me because I worried about what the enemy could do to me. You know, like I can't live my life in fear. I cannot live my life in fear and not be the person that God has destined me to be because I'm afraid of the attacks. The attacks can come whether, and I told her, I say, that the target could be on your back, whether you're a rich man or a poor man. You know, I was like, but I think about the way that my mind works is that I think about the greater good of things, and I told her, I said, um, she was like, well, I want you here for a long time. And I told her, I say, you know, wanting me here for a long time is a okay way to think because you enjoy my company. I said, but me, I'd rather much spend eternity with you and these children, And I say that is where my mentality is. I know that at the end of the day, that I I'm thinking about the longer run. I'm thinking about the greater part of this. I'm not thinking about the now. I'm thinking about the forever, and that's what it is. That's what I think the author was referring to in this, right? When he says, but those who live to please the Spirit will harvest everlasting life from the Spirit. Everlasting life from the Spirit. So It's all about you thinking about how you are going to treat the relationship that you have with God, whether or not you think about it from a temporary standpoint or whether you think about it from an everlasting standpoint. And I think that this was the author sort of reiterating this. And I just was giving you a real life example of how this particular verse related to me that I didn't even have any intentions of reading it. And I actually just thought about that after I read it. So thank you everyone again for the opportunity to speak. I'm Kerry and I relinquish my mic.